Hello, how are you doing today? Hope you're doing great. Hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing super swell. We are back yet again to ramble. I am back. Maybe you are too. Maybe we're here together again. Yeah. Um, I am back to ramble and I am back to talk about my journey and my journey through this ride of life, the the wild ride of life. Um, And I really kind of want to talk to you about why I started this journey. Not intentionally starting this journey. I didn't intentionally start it to get to this place, but I did intentionally start it to really um show myself that I deserved more, I deserved better. So I do want to talk about this journey and me starting it. It wasn't an intentional, like where I am today wasn't my intentions or even a thought of where I thought I would be today. So I kind of want to take that route and kind of talk about it, because I know I did talk about, in one of my other videos about my journey with faith, and so I want to talk about my journey through self-healing and how I got here and why I started this. Um, so I'm just going to be as raw and as real as possible and, um, just talk through this process that I started and worked through and I'm still working on. Um, it was about it was a little over a year ago. I was in a relationship. I had been in that relationship for 5 or 6 years at that point, and I think now I will talk about realizations I figured out later on, but during that point, I'll just talk about what I was feeling. Um, we had there's been over the years, there has been, this begging and pleading to be loved the way I wanted to be loved, and it was just kind of it had gotten worse when we moved. We moved into a house, and it had gotten far worse than previous. Um, I was doing everything. I was really trying to make the house a home, and I was really pouring myself into, this house. Um And he kind of just, like, disconnected fully. He fully, completely disconnected from the relationship, disconnected from the house, and just was extremely silent, always in his phone, always, and so, obviously, I became very upset because I was like, "This has been so long, and I really don't wanna do this anymore." Then I started so I kind of instead of keeping keeping up with the fighting and arguing, I had decided to really focus on gaming, um, heavily focus on gaming. I started playing Diablo, and then, from there, I went to back to WoW. I played WoW on and off for years, but I went back to WoW, and I started streaming. During my course of streaming, um, it got a little chaotic, because then it turned from me not having any conversations, communication, or anything with him, it really turned into his entire presence had to be into everything, kind of watching over me, kind of seeing what I'm doing, kind of feeling like, I shouldn't be talking to people on social media, like conversing with other streamers. Um, he just felt like it wasn't something that I should have to do if I'm trying to grow. Um, and anytime and there was comments that I made on stream, he would get, like, very upset about it, and so that took a lot on me because I went from wanting attention to then getting it, but not in the way that I really would have wanted it. I would have wanted it more of like, "Oh, you're doing this. Let me help you. Let me help you grow." It was more so like different. almost controlling, but I won't say that because I don't know, I don't want to. I'm not trying to shed a negative light on either party. It was just different. Um, so we kind of had oh, hang on real quick. Okay. I think I'm better now, I think. Um, so that took a huge toll on my mental health, and I was really starting to feel it then. And so I went to him and I remember yelling it, but I was like, "I deserve better. I deserve more." And I know it sounds so interesting to say, but when I said it, it was almost like there's this flip that's it was a switch that flipped. Like, it was like, "Okay, now you gotta prove it to yourself." Like, it was really kind of like that. Like, I never really, I've been in this relationship and I've been through the ups and downs of the constant begging and the constant need, and not saying that he did anything wrong. It's just that was my realization or my experience, not my realization. That was my experience of the relationship. Obviously, he experienced it differently, which will come later on in a realization that I kind of worked through. Um, but there was a lot in this relationship that I felt like I don't know. I finally just realized that I deserved more, and that really is what took off. It took off so hardcore. I think I cut off a lot of friends. Um, I quit streaming. Well, I was quitting streaming because it was getting harder to stream, and um, because he decided to, work longer, and then it was just I just kind of had to end the streaming, and then also okay, I am back again. Um, so after going through all of that and just kinda lost where I was, but once I said I deserved more, I deserved better, I kind of had that place of, "Okay, I'm gonna really" like, I really it was almost like when I said that, it was like, "Okay, you have to prove it. Now you have to prove it." And so I had to prove it, like, I had to, and um I went through a lot of parts of my past, especially my past. I think, I decided to finally cut my family off, because I think I was really looking for love and approval, and I feel like the love I didn't get as a child or the love I felt like I shoulda got as a child, between, the abuse that I endured, I feel like it was time to, let go of all of that, and so there was a lot of healing that and healing my outlook on relationships, healing my relationship with relationships, that I have with people, like, intimate relationships, not, friend relationships. Which that also needs work as well. I don't know, I can't make friends to save my life. I try, but it arm's length, that's just it is an interesting road to travel down when you're wanting friends, but you don't get friends, and you just it's we're gonna get there eventually, like, it'll eventually happen. It's something I will grow into. Uh, but anyways, I really just took time to step back from everything that I was pouring into, and I poured it into myself. I decided to heal myself, and really the road that I took, I did not know that it was going to lead me here, but it really came to the point where I was like, I deserve way better. I deserve way more. And that still rings in my head anytime I, like, came to face with something that was hard for me and to face. Um, so this there was an entire year where I was healing myself, where I was really working through a lot of my issues. It was a very lonely year, it was a very isolating year, it was a year full of just deep-seated healing, like, everything that I went through, it had to be almost purged, but not in a purge way where you have to rid yourself of it, because there are parts of myself it's my story, it's not who I am, it's not who I choose to be, but it is still part of my story, and it's something that I really like to acknowledge, and I do like to sit with myself and acknowledge myself and see my fear and what is my fear telling me and see my anger and what is my anger telling me, what is it trying to say? What am I not paying attention to that I need to pay attention to in order to really fully move on from what is happening and not fully move on. I mean, things will always come up. We're human. I'm human. Things are going to come up. They're going to rise and we're going to feel the emotions, but I don't have to react from the emotions anymore. I can see them, acknowledge them, choose how I want to respond. And that's kind of where that path had led me. So after this year, um, now I did have suspicions that he was so I went and I began healing myself because I really wanted to get in there and just like, I didn't wanna be my mother. I didn't wanna have a relationship like my mom. I didn't want anything. I'm not saying, but I wanted to have a different approach to life that was helpful to my children. I wanted to be emotionally sound. I didn't want to yell. I didn't want to argue. I didn't want to do all of that. I didn't, you know, I've never been a big fan of physical discipline, so I don't do that. But yes, yelling is something that I did resort to a lot. And I know that that was something that could and does potentially have harmful effects on your children, and that's not something that I wanted to do anymore. Um, so I I wanted to heal myself, like, once I got into that place of working on myself, that was my goal. My goal was once I saw what I was doing, I'm gonna do it fully. I'm going to cry, I'm going to, um, feel everything. I love to feel every emotion and I love to sit there and just see it and say, okay, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I need to do in order to feel okay with myself, feel okay with what happened to me or what might happen to me or any variation of feeling of anything that could potentially happen at all. Um, so I decided to heal inward and he took a different route. I'm not saying it was wrong. It was just I don't think it was what I was expecting. Um, he started, uh, just having intimate relationships with other people. Now, I'll give him we weren't together the year. I understood that, like, once he told me, that that's what he was doing, I understood. I was like, "Okay, I do understand we weren't really together, um, so I can't fault you for sleeping with other people." It would have just been respectful because the situation we're in a situation that we're in close quarters, like, we live together, even though we weren't together for a year, we live together, we have kids together. So, if I was going to be intimate with someone, I would think you would expect me to be respectful towards you and, you know, just respect for each other in that sense. I'm not saying he was wrong, but then he lied about it. That was where it was really messed up is the lying. Um and hiding it from me for so long. I think it was going on for almost the full year that we weren't, together. So I think that was also kind of hard for me to hear, but I think it was just hard for me to hear just because of, it's I'm and not that he did anything wrong, I don't think he did something wrong, it's just it was different than it was something that I wasn't expecting, um, him to do, and then lying about it, and then, kind of pulling the truth from him. I had suspected it, so it wasn't hard to put 2 and 2 together because he left a lot of crumbs around, so it was something that was easy to kind of, so when I confronted him, he was like, "No, I swear, I would never do that. I don't shit where I eat. I don't no, I would never she's no, I would never do that with her." Because I already knew who it was too. It was just an interesting road, so, he's like, "Yeah, I swear." So the lying really was really hard for me to hear. I think that sent me into a little bit more of a slight sadness. I was really, really sad about it. I think it's because I was now because I had already grieved, the relationship, but not in the way that it was over, but just that I had to release all of the old me in order to really come back better. Now I had to grieve the relationship in a different way. Um, the end basically of the relationship. I had to grieve that. And that was really hard for me because I didn't think that this is where it was going to go. And then I understand we weren't together. I get it. I don't fault him for it. It's just I do deserve better and I deserve more. And I told myself that and I was like, well, look, there you go. You are prepared for this moment. I had a lot of realizations we after this. I think one of my biggest realizations was that I sat there and I was talking to him, and I take full accountability for my role in the downfall of where we are. Um, I remember early on in our relationship, there was this envelope. I won't talk about the envelope and all the things he said about this envelope, but I was doing a lot and there was supposed to be this envelope, and it probably took him 2 months to give me this envelope, and there was just, like, a letter in it, professing his love. And it was such a confusing envelope because this is so interesting that, I didn't even ask for the thing is I didn't ask for the envelope. It was told to me. So I think if the envelope was never brought up, I would have been fine. Um, I do shit for free all the time anyways, I'm just joking. I no, I do. Not anymore, but, um, I think that really set the tone for how the relationship was going to go moving forward. And I say this because we had broken up for about 7 months, only after 4 months, and that envelope had was played a huge role in it, and, then when we got back together, it was just the lack of transparency. It was him going to the gym, and then, he's supposed to be on his way to my house, but then he's at the gym, wishing, people off to college and then he is like, "Oh, yeah, they think you're so pretty, and, oh, by the way, they're females." Like, "You didn't even have to tell me that. You coulda just kept that to yourself." I appreciate the honesty, though. The problem is that I called him, and he answered, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm just leaving the gym." I was like, "Oh, I thought you were supposed to be on your way to my house." And he was like, "Oh, no, I had to do this and had to go wish these girls off to college and, like, whatever." And I remember being so upset about it because I'm like, the transparency you could have said, "Hey, on your way to the gym, hey, by the way, there's some people that I need to go talk to. They're getting ready to go off to college. I want to stop by and say farewell. I think a lot of people look at that and they go, "Well, he doesn't need your permission." Absolutely, 100% does not. But transparency is a beautiful thing. It is a wonderful thing. It is something that can alleviate any kind of issues, especially in a relationship that you really want to be a part of, especially in a relationship that you really want to protect and you want it to go smoothly. A relationship that means the world to you. You view it differently. So I don't know. That's just me personally. I'm a sucker. I am a huge sucker for transparency, communication. Oh my gosh. I love communication. It is so you would be like you would because you talk so much. Not all the time. Um, but to go back to my original point is that the realization that I had is throughout the course of our relationship, I was becoming more angry. Now, I really should have not gotten back with him the second time. I shouldn't have. I really shouldn't have, and I'll tell you why, is because there was already so much hurt from the first one, and there was already so much that went on during the 4 months we were together that taking it on again, even though the first half really wasn't acknowledged, it was kinda just, like, swept under the rug, and it was just kind of like, "We don't talk about it. We can't talk about that anymore," and so many times I've, like and I don't think I ever fully got closure. So it's something that I did carry with me, and that's a real thing. I did really carry that with me into the second half. Um, I think if there was just some sort of acknowledgement or, I feel like it probably would have been a little better, but that's not what happened. And so then coming back around to the second time, anytime he did something that was just, you know, something that didn't feel right to me, even though he was probably doing nothing, it just caused a lot of insecurities, and that's really where I should have really stopped it and said, "Hey, I'm not this relationship is probably not the healthiest for me. I need to exit out of this." Um, so anytime he would say, "Oh, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna do better," after every argument, "I'm gonna change, I'm gonna do better, I'm gonna change." Every time that that didn't happen, it just created this person in me that was just so angry and so mad and so bitter that this person just keeps allowing me to hold on to hope that and they're probably never gonna change. And I take accountability for the fact is that I caused when after yelling and screaming and fighting with them, I caused so much issues for him to kind of shut down and to kind of retreat inward and to, disconnect from the relationship. Um, and that's really where it was me fighting for and the thing is I was fighting to finally be heard, to be seen, to feel the love that I felt like I deserved. Um, all that fighting, hoping that finally he'll show up, finally he'll be the person I want him to be, finally he'll love me the way I want to be loved. And that's really just the realization that I came to is like, I should have just walked away and really healed myself before I continued this. I mean, finally, I did heal myself. I finally did work on myself after years. Um, and and we were split for like 7 months, so I feel like I think it would have been fine if I would have just taken more time to really heal the parts of myself, but I was still not aware of really what was going on, and awareness is so funny. Um, but yeah, I really acknowledged that you know and I'm a huge fan of taking accountability, even the hard stuff, I have to look at it and say, "Yeah, I played a huge role in it." I hate that I played such a huge role in somebody's pain and in somebody's, um, I don't know, and their disconnect from life. Like, I don't like it, but it's a reality that I have to live in. It's something that I have to say, "Yeah, I did that," and it sucks, but, now I have to change those behaviors and no longer repeat those behaviors that causes pain or causes hurt, um, which I think is something that I do. I don't wanna keep hurting people, and um I don't wanna hurt people because of my own pain. I don't wanna hurt people because of things that I haven't dealt with, and that was one of the realizations. The other realization that I had was how important my words are and how valuable they are, and how not everyone deserves them. Not everyone is deserving of my words, and I need to be more careful and cautious of how I speak and how I talk and how I show up with other people with my words, and just choose to say things gently and calmly and to be intentional. I had this conversation where it was basically saying, what was it? I can't even, I'm really not good at remembering certain things, but really just caring enough about my words to choose them wisely, not being so careless, not just throwing them around, not just saying whatever I want just because this is who I am. I care about other people and I care about life and I care about living and I care about humans as a whole, that I can choose to make better choices with my words. And I don't have to say words that are going to damage somebody or, even damage me, because I don't want to say something that's going to hurt somebody because then it's going to make me hurt and I'm going to feel guilty and bad. And I don't want to do that. So I am going to be more wise with my words. Um, but yeah, that's really kind of what I wanted to talk about, was my journey through um starting my journey and why I started my journey, and um really going through the healing. I know I did not finish this, but I know with recent things between him and I and how things are going, I just want to coexist peacefully. Um I'm not mad that he slept with other people. I'm just, you know, upset that he was dishonest about it. I understand that there was, I wish he would have made different decisions, but, you know, we can't choose for other people. And um it did help me realize a lot of things, because I could easily say, "Oh, this is, we can work through this. We can make it happen." Because I think that a lot of the sadness I felt would easily just dissipate if I just chose to work on the relationship, if I chose to work on something that wasn't healthy for me, because I'm working um, on a relationship that I don't think is in the best interest of myself, especially with, you know, new information. And a sadness I'm slowly getting back to myself and really loving my life and loving my faith and trusting God, and um just like being human. Even through pain, I can still like the aspect of living. Not all of it's gonna be great, and sometimes I'm gonna cry, and sometimes I'm gonna, you know, not understand what's going on and not understand why it happened, but the one thing I can do is love myself, know that I am worthy within my own self, and know that I'm worth it and I am deserving, and I think I'm super cool. And that's all that matters is what I think about myself, and I don't need anyone. I need myself and God, and that's it. On that note, I hope some of that made sense, if it made sense at all. If it didn't, I'm sorry. If it did, great. Um, but on that note, I'm leaving. I am out of here, and I hope you have the greatest rest of your day. I hope your mind is kind to you today, and that's all I have to say. Okay, bye.